Since I was fascinated with science, I drew a skull when I was 12 years old. I consider that to be my very first medical illustration. After a couple of years practicing medicine, I got kind of disappointed with the way medicine was being practiced. And so I decided to work as a commercial artist. It was when I illustrated the first book, and I drew some posters. And this painting was for one of the publications, educational publications of the Brazilian oil company, that's Petrobras. I was brought to the United States by a Swiss pharmaceutical company. For that company, that Dr. Netter worked for. And so they were looking for somebody to continue his work. We both had experience as commercial artists. We are both physicians. We both ended up as a medical illustrator. The main similarity between our style is that we are both very concerned about the correctness of the information that our illustrations carry. We try to make the illustrations less repulsive, more appealing, more pleasing. And the influence of commercial art plays a role, important role here. Both are correct. I am a little more compulsive with details. And so mimicking Dr. Netter's style, it shows that the eye is functional, like a lake and the trees and sky reflected in the corner of that eye. I grew up in Rio de Janeiro with my parents, and according to them, I started drawing very early in my life. The oldest drawing I have is one that I painted when I was 4 years old. That is the Frogman. You can see the fins in his hand. There is a starfish. There is a boat in the surface of the water, and with the anchor, you can see that. And he's upside down. My dad took that photograph when I was 6 years old, and in the background you see a house where a girlfriend of mine lived, and her father was a physician, a pediatrician, and it was in that house, in his library, where I first saw a medical book with medical illustrations. That was a book exactly like this one. And it was the first book with the illustration of Dr. Frank Netter, edited in 1949, and I had the privilege to see it when I was 6 years old. When I was between 10 and 11 years old, I started dissecting animals. I would go to the creeks and looking for dead frogs. I would take them home, dissect them, and draw everything I was seeing. I was fascinated by motorcycles. I consider this to be my first hyperrealistic painting. And actually it's a sketch. The final paint was maybe 5 times larger than that one. And it was for a contest. I won the contest, but I never got the prize. And I never got the final painting back. Despite the fact I didn't have a formal education, I was somehow influenced by the Impressionist painters like Renoir, Degas, and Manet, for instance. And so I tried to paint the street where I lived in a rainy day. And so this is the result of that experience. It was hard to pick, the profession I wanted to be. I liked a lot of things, like mechanical engineer and medicine, but I was driven by my wish of helping people in, I would say, in the medical way. And so I decided to be a doctor. This is a drawing of one of my notebooks when I was in the medical school. And it's part of one of the books that I lost. Actually, it was stolen, I would say. And so about 10 or 15 years later, a friend of mine saw just the page of this book with a student, and he recognized that, and he called me and said, "Oh, Carlos, guess what? I have here part of the notebooks you lost." And so he gave them back. During my internship, I needed some diversion on the subject medicine. I was back to the motorcycle, and so I painted it. I picked this angle because I think the motorcycle looks more beautiful seen from that angle. Well, it's another example of hyperrealism I painted. The license plate would be completely obliterated by the light of the brake light. And so what I did was I sketched it based on a photograph I took under the sunlight. My motorcycle was outside on a sunny day. I took the photograph, and so I sketched it. After I had the sketch, I would turn off the lights of my studio and took notes of all the effects of the colors and the lighting, everything. And it took me almost 4 months painting this work. That would be my last painting. Yeah, because of the importance of Dr. Netter in the history of medical illustration, and so when I was invited to come to the United States to continue his work, it was hard to say no. So I tried it. Very often I don't have a real patient to take pictures of. I have to count on some friends that pose for me. And so in this case is an example. Of course, I changed the main facial features that can be identifiable. And so I transplant the lesions of the features of the specific disease to the healthy person. I get different reactions from the models that pose for me. Some of them just laugh, and some of them, sometimes depending on the disease or the condition I'm portraying, they are not very happy with the way they look. Along with continuing as a medical illustrator, I'd like to try something like botanical illustrator, and also go back to fine art.